All right, my friends, I think we're on. It's going to be yes. Okay, good. So I just got cut off my phone showing you one way to save money. So this is going to be a two-part discussion here today. So I'm going to follow up with this discussion, a live discussion with more of the prompt discussion where I actually bring you on to see the system I'm going to run to show you ways that you are getting taken to the cleaners when it comes to investment fees. I'm going to show that to you specifically. But before we do, I just want to give you a brief tutorial what I'm going to talk about. I'm all about saving money. So this is what I was showing you in my live thing. This right here, my friends, is live beef jerky. I just got done making. Look at that. Oh, it smells so good. You got brown sugar. You got it's a 1/4-inch sliced beef. I forgot the cut of beef it was, but you got brown sugar. You got Worcestershire sauce. You got some liquid smoke. You got some rub from Weber. Their brown sugar beef rub. Oh, man, it's awesome. So that is just fantastic. So if you're in beef jerky, stop buying it. Just get yourself a little dehydrated and start making your own beef jerky because, man, it is good. All my kids love it. It is cheap. So that right there is about a pound, about 1.25 pounds. It cost me all $10 for a pound of a quart of the best beef jerky you've ever had, without question. You put that in your dehumidifier or dehydrator, let that sucker run for about 6-7 hours. You're good to go. You're loving life with your beef jerky. All right. What I want to talk about today is just I had a case where a lady, nice lady, showed me her portfolio. Just the amount of fees is just astronomical she's paying. And on top of that, because the financial advisor, investment manager essentially isn't, I hate to say doesn't know what he's doing, but my goodness, the amount of money that she's paying for taxes that don't have to be paid, it just drives me up the wall. So I want to talk about, because I'm in a Facebook page with some folks who are very adamant about anti-commissions, anti-insurance advisors, anti-this, anti-that, and they come across horrible now because they only charge fees. And the issue is I'm sitting there thinking, so we had a case where guys like, I was sitting in Starbucks, I heard this guy talking about fees, or a guy was trying to sell him an insurance product, and he felt like he should jump in and butt in. I said, man, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's not none of your business. And then I said, what if I jumped in while you're in a Starbucks and I heard you talk about a 1% fee you're charging to a client? I said, the client's never going to make that money back. On top of that, you're probably going to have some pretty significant capital gains as well in there, because a lot of times the investment advice does not flow over to the 1040. It's none of your business. Anyway, the whole point about this is I get in all these debates about investment management fees. And I'm going to show you in another YouTube video I do here as a follow-up to this why I can't stand them. You're not getting value for your money. You're not. And on top of that, you're throwing money away because you could easily be doing this yourself with just Vanguard. You don't have to do it, my friends. You can just tell Vanguard, you do it for me. And Vanguard will say, you got it. They'll charge you 35 basis points for them to run the whole portfolio for you. That's 1/3 of 1%. And that's even if you hire them to be your investment manager. If you don't hire them to be your investment manager, they're not going to charge you. You just say, I want you to put the money in these mutual funds for me, or give me some idea of what I should do. It doesn't cost you a dime, nothing. And so let's just say, for simplicity, you have a $500,000 portfolio. All right, you charge them 1% a year. That $500,000 at 1% a year, it costs $5,000 a year in fees. But that's just the investment advice fees. What are the fees that are on top of that in terms of the mutual funds they use? So the lady I'm working with, she's got all these mutual funds in there too. And the mutual funds are charging something like 0.9%. So she's paying 1% for the investment advisor plus 0.9% for fees. It just kills me. That's just money going out you're not earning that back from positive rates of return. There is no study out there, none, that says you can hire an investment guy and he will do better or she will do better in any kind of consistency than just a broad-based market. There is no study that shows that, none. And so what we know for a fact is the vast majority of advisors underperform the broad-based market because of their fees. This is not debatable anymore. And on top of that, when you factor in a lot of these advisors are very actively engaged, i.e. they're selling and buying, they're adding taxes to it. You're just not going to beat the market on a regular basis. You're not. And so stop paying for investment advisors who say they can beat the market. I think those days are pretty much behind us. But my goodness, if you have a $500,000 portfolio and you're paying 1% a year fee, you're losing $5,000 a year. And we know that you're going to have underperformers. There's just no getting around that. So a second thing that's driving me crazy too, this I guess just my drive me crazy day, is I hear, well, we have to do behavioral coaching, behavioral performance. I said, what is that? And that's where you got to keep you from yourself, because you're going to make stupid decisions. Like what? Like you're going to sell when the market's low and you're going to buy when the market's high. Folks, I've been in this well over 20 years now. And I'm telling you, the vast majority of people I have seen, I've witnessed in my own experience, don't do that. The only people that really do that are people who are actively traded. What's up, Mark? Mark was up early this morning. He and I were chatting on the chat, because I got up at freaking 3:45. I was trying to take a nap. But anyway, but I had a smell of my beef jerky right there. Oh, man, I can't wait to chomp on this. I'm telling you, folks, make your own beef jerky. It's divine. It's cheap. All right. So anyway, the vast majority, what was I just talking about? All right. So the vast majority of people, if you have $500,000 and you're paying an investment manager fee, the vast majority of people, who need behavioral coaching, who are going to sell when the market's low and buy when the market's high, aren't hiring professional financial advisors anyway. They do it themselves. They think they can do it on their own. Look, they do whatever they want. But this idea that I need someone to protect myself from my own stupid decisions, I frankly find that offensive, because I haven't seen it. The vast majority of people in my many years in this business have not bought at the high and sold at the low. They just haven't done it. They've done the exact opposite, which is they put their money in there and they let it sit, and they let it sit, and they let it sit. And that's what you're supposed to do. And so in investment advisory business nowadays, we have the two things. It used to be hire me because I can do better than what you could do, or better what the markets can do. No one thinks that anymore. If they do, there's no validity to that. It's just run for the hills. Number two is I'll protect you from yourself, because you will make a mistake. And inherently, I find that offensive. I'm not saying no one. There are people who need to be protected from themselves. I get that. Is that you? I highly suspect it's not, or else why would you be on this YouTube channel looking for financial advice? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And so now we're going to pay some guy $5,000 a year on a $500,000 portfolio to do two things he can't do, or she. He can't beat the market. In fact, he's going to underperform the market when he factors his fees. And factors his fees and his taxes, he's going to vastly underperform the market. That's just really not debatable. Two, he's not going to protect you from yourself, because the likelihood of you selling high or selling low and buying high is just nonsensical. There's just not that big of an issue. If you ever see a guy whip out something called a Dalbar study, DALBAR, and he shows you the average investor versus the average investment as a way to protect you from yourself, you turn around and run. There's no validity to that study whatsoever. I used to follow that, think that research was spot on, until I read some guy said, nope, that study's bad. And I followed how the study was developed, and it's crap. Now, Morningstar does have a study similar to that, which I do believe in some regard, about average investor versus average investment. And I think there might be some validity to that. It's not nearly as dastardly as a Dalbar study, but at the end of the day, it's not worth you, my man Mark here, saying I'm going to hire some guy, pay him a percent a year on my assets to keep me from making bad decisions. If you want to hire some guy to keep you from making bad decisions, don't pay him based on your assets. Just pay him, say, I'll pay you $500 once a year, $1,000 once a year to make sure I'm good to go, without having anything to do with the financial investments that you have. I mean, if you need the behavior coaching, well, pay for the doggone behavioral coaching. Don't pay for the investment advice, because the investment advice is insufficient without question. Just go to Vanguard. Vanguard, you go to Schwab. My concern with Schwab is they might have a guy that tries to, or there might be a person that tries to get you to buy more of their fee products, because Schwab is a publicly traded company where Vanguard is not. Vanguard, I don't think their sales team is all that aggressive, which is good. So, but you go to Vanguard, you say, here, Vanguard, help me figure out what I'm trying to do. And they'll give you two options. We'll charge you 35 basis points, 1/3 of 1%, or we can just put you in a simple asset allocation portfolio like the life strategy funds that I talk about, and there's no fees whatsoever. I love that. Just without question, that's not a bad way to go. USAA has a digital advisor, which I think is 15 basis points or 20. That's or 20 basis points. That's 1/5 of 1%. That's fantastic too. but you don't need to pay somebody 1% to put you in a bunch of stuff. And particularly if they're mutual funds within that portfolio and you're paying fees on the mutual funds. And again, let's just say you have we'll just use a Fidelity Advisor fund. We'll just throw that out here, and it will be institutional shares. All right. So you're paying Fidelity Advisor institutional shares. So there's no trailing commission, and the fees are going to be lower than just a retail share that my man Mark and I could go buy, but still 0.7, 0.8% on top of the 1% fee you're paying. It's crazy. Anyway, so I'm debating these people about, the life insurance guy's bad because he's going to get a commission. I'm like, okay, so not paying a commission is evil. Paying a commission is evil, but paying a 1% fee year over year over year, even when the markets go down, that's the alternative. This is crazy to me. So if I'm paying 1% a year, and the market goes from 500 to 400,000, which it will do on occasion, 20% decline is not anything that happens all the time. Now, am I getting what happens to my fee? It's still there. I'm only paying 4,000 now, but I'm still paying the fee. So when I hear all these guys like the Ken Fisher, what he has his advertisement, we're on the same side of you as opposed to a broker. I'm like, but you're not on the same side of me. You still get paid if you lose money. If I lose money, you still get paid. You might get paid less, but you're still getting paid. I'm losing $100,000. My portfolio is worth 20% less, and you're still getting paid. You're getting paid $4,000, even though I've just lost $100,000. How's that being on the same side? So at the end of the day, when I do this next video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works for fees, why you should avoid them like the plague. I'm sure at some point the people in the industry will come knocking on my door trying to take me out because they make money. When there's money at stake and you're, rattling cages to tell people to stop doing this, they don't like you. They hate it, and they still do. John Bogle, they hated that guy. They hate Bogle with a passion because Bogle shined the light on just how insane it was to pay. That was even back then, 2%. They hated Charles Schwab when he first was running out because, again, he shined the light on discount commissions that you don't need to hire some investment guy to churn and burn your stock for thousands of dollars. They hated those people. And if I could be hated like that myself, I love it. Because I think the financial planning industry has always made this huge mistake where we say we cannot take on we had some lady on here 2 days ago, Cindy B, I think, saying they want to talk to her because she didn't have a big enough portfolio. I'm like, what the hell is that? I mean, you do what you want to do, but don't tell me that you're holier than thou because you don't charge commissions, but yet you're turning away middle-class people because you have to have a certain level of asset size before you can, grace them with your presence. And what is wrong? And the financial planning industry is making a huge mistake by focusing solely on the portfolio size. And I hate it. I really do. And I despise that, frankly. And I think it's just bad financial planning, first and foremost. And secondly, I just think it's disingenuous to say, oh, we're fiduciaries. I just did a thing on my LinkedIn page about fiduciaries. Saw some guy with all these different fiduciaries. I say, let me ask you a question. A fiduciary, you're supposed to do what you do for yourself. So you're going to say, I'm going to charge Mark 1% a year in assets under management. Now, I'm wondering, are you paying 1% a year of assets under management for your own portfolio to be managed? And I guarantee they're going to say no. I say, well, wait. A fiduciary says I'm not supposed to make money off my investment advice. That's what it says. You can go to the fiduciary thing on Investopedia, and you'll see the definition of fiduciary. It says it could not be clearer. And yet you're going to say to me, I'm a fiduciary. That guy's a commission-based salesman. I'm holier than thou. That guy's not. And I'm going to charge, because I charge 1%. That guy charges a commission. And I'm not here to defend commission guys either. I'm not at all. The commission days are pretty much behind us now. It's the fees that bother me. So I'm going to say, oh, but I'm a fiduciary. I charge 1% a year. And I said, well, who are you paying for your investments? And if they say nobody, you say, well, how does that square with what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that you're a fiduciary and you would only do what you would do, but you're not doing what you're telling me. I don't understand how that's square. I don't understand how you square that circle. I just don't. And he'll say, because I manage it myself. I said, whoa. You don't have behavior coaching needs too, just because you have a certified financial planner or a Series 65, for God forbid, you're avoiding of this behavioral coaching thing that you're telling me I need. Where does that doesn't make any sense. And if he's a true fiduciary, he'd say, we're going to give you advice, has nothing to do with any kind of product. Now they'll say, these guys will say, but it's not a product, Josh, it's a service. Investment management is a service. And the way I say that is bullcrap. If it's absolutely a product, because if I don't hire you for your product investment management, if I don't have enough money to hire you for my product investment management, or if I choose not to do that with you, I will not be your client. So you inherently are having to sell something to me. And the product is your investment management services. Don't tell me that's not a fiduciary. That's a fiduciary obligation, but I only can take you on if you buy my services. How is that any different from I can only get paid if you buy my, again, life insurance product? It's a pet peeve of mine, as you can see. I don't like it. It shouldn't be like that. I just can't stand the holier than thou thing that says, oh, we're fiduciaries. We only charge fees. All these other guys, these life insurance guys, or the whatever it is, they're charging other ways and commissions. So that means they're bad. And I've run studies, my friends. I looked at American funds versus Vanguard. I said, okay, we're going to use American funds, the Investment Company of America, IFA. Oh no, was the Income Fund of America, probably one of my favorite funds of all time. You paid a 5.5% commission up front and never did anything again, versus you hiring a guy to run your Vanguard index funds at 1% a year. It's not even close which outperforms. It's just not even debatable. The Income Fund of America smokes the Vanguard stuff with a 1% fee, because in the Income Fund of America, you're just paying the front end commission, even of a 5.5% on that one time. That's it. And you're paying on a low amount of money. So after 20 years, that puppy has grown and grown and grown. The only fee you've been paying in there is 25 basis points for a stupid thing called a 12B1 trail. It's a trail, and I don't have any problem with that. As long as it's disclosed, I don't care. But the idea that my Vanguard, if I hire an investment manager and pay him 1% a year, and I have Vanguard and I'm fee only and I have the best funds ever from Vanguard, but it doesn't matter. You're going to get smoked by the one-time commission every single time. Now, the guy who sold you the commission comes back at you and says, hey, Mark, we should get you out of that fund and go over here and buy this other fund company. That's churning. Well, I don't like that. That's bad. That's not being a financial advisor. It's certainly not being a fiduciary. But if you just leave in the American funds, I don't even care what fund, Income Fund of America, because that's what I did a blog post on. You're going to have so much more money than some guy charging 1% each and every year. It's just not even debatable. So how does a fiduciary hold that? How do you stand up to that? You say, well, I'd rather pay you a one-time commission and never pay another commission, as opposed to paying an annual fee 1% a year. All right, so 2 points. Make your own beef jerky. I'm telling you, man, it is awesome. Save you a boatload of money. Again, that's £1.25 for $10, my friends. That's good. And then 2, don't pay investment management fees. I'm just telling you right now, if you're going to pay an investment management fee, just go to Vanguard, go to Schwab. They have, I think even Fidelity does too. They have these investment portfolios where you can get people on call. It's like a third, 25 basis, like a quarter to a 3% or something. It's enormously, it's wonderful without question. You're still paying a fee, but it's quite minimal. And you still get somebody at least contact, at least at Vanguard, you're going to get the friggin' index funds, which are only like, 10 basis points. So your all in fee is less than 50 bips, and 50 bips, again, basis points. That's what a bip is, basis points. So 1% is 100 basis points. All right, so if every 1%, that's 100 basis points. So if you have 1 basis point, that's 1 BIP. That's literally 1/100th of 1%. So just as an education here, anytime you hear someone call them basis points or BIPs, that just means you have 100. That's 1%. That's 100 basis points. So if you're charging 35 BIPs, that would be 0.35%, roughly 1/3 of 1%, or 35 basis points. And so again, 100 basis points, that's too high. Without question, 35 basis points, I'd still prefer you go to life strategy funds of Vanguard. But hey, I got no problem with that. As long as your all-in fees are below 50 bips, 50 basis points, I got no problem with that. But don't forget too, my friends, you got to look at the tax consequences, Mike. You got to look at what is going back to your 1099. One of these days, I'm going to print out the friggin' 1099. I'm fired up, as you can tell. If I'm cussing, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So my man, or Sunshine Susie, says she makes her own beef jerky too. I'm telling you. Oh, life is good. Make your own jerky. You grow some of your own vegetables. Oh, man. I don't raise any chickens. I don't raise any pigs or anything, but maybe one of these days I will. I probably won't. But who knows? I still like to buy some grass-fed beef from a local farm here in Georgia, because, man, grass-fed beef, way better than corn-fed. I'm just telling you right now. It's a little bit more expensive, so you're not going to save money there. But you hire a local guy to do that. You buy half a cow. You put down your ice box in your basement or out in the garage. Man, you got stuff. I'm a simple man. I love just eating. I can eat all day long, especially when I went low carbs, my friends. That was the best thing I ever did, because all of a sudden they said you can eat meat. I used to live in Stone Mountain, right on. No, that's you can eat meat, you can eat fat and bacon. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I lost weight. My triglycerides dropped like a brick in water. I got underwritten as preferred ultra, whatever it's called, like the best underwriting can get. Before I couldn't get underwritten. I was underwritten like standard. Eating made me fat. Well, it depends what you're eating, man. It depends what you're eating. So before I was eating, I was just following the stupid high carbs, low fat thing. You know, you get the York pepper and patties with no fat. You're like, oh, I'm going to chow on those because no fat. And then I was like, man, yeah, crap. And so I started eating. I said, well, I read Gary Taubes. One of my subscribers told me, Gary Taubes, Why We Get Fat. Get that book, Why We Get Fat. That is the best book you'll ever read, bar none. It changed my life. He showed you can eat meat. You can eat low, high fat stuff, just low carbs. And, you know, obviously you can't go to 10 carbs a day. That, you know, you'll stink, first of all. But you can eat bacon, whole milk, all that stuff. It's good. Eggs. I eat eggs and bacon all the time. I do eat cereal because it's so easy. But I do try to keep my carb intake. I don't drink any soda. That's your big thing. That's your big bugaboo drink. So, okay, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I just went to a high fat, low carb content. I went back to get underwritten. I was underwritten before as like I smoked. If you don't smoke and you get underwritten like you smoke, there's something wrong. And what's wrong is your blood is bad. They're going to look at your blood. You're going to pee in a cup. And they're going to say, whoa, your triglycerides are through the roof. Mine were through the roof. Over 300, my friends. And I said, this is crazy. And I said, I couldn't afford the underwrite. I did a video, or maybe I did talk about my book. I said, I couldn't pay for the friggin' cost of the life insurance that these guys want to give to me. And that was my company, USAA. So I found Gary Taubes' book somehow. I went all into that. I lost probably 30 pounds. I started actually looking a little bit sickly. I lost so much weight. And then for like a month, I remember I remember we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania one time, and my wife and kids were sitting there eating French fries. And I was like, oh man, I could kill for those. But I did it. I had the discipline, lost like 30 pounds, 40 pounds, something I can't remember. But at the end of the day, I waited about a couple more months, went back to get underwritten again, through the roof, man. I probably waited about a year if I did it again. But I got the best underwriting possible because I had lost weight and my triglycerides are fine. My LDL, it's the bad cholesterol, is low. My HDL, actually, no, the HDL was high and the LDL was high too, because once you do eat a lot of eggs, your cholesterol will go up. But it's your triglycerides are the big one. Who cares about cholesterol going up? Because eggs are fine. Eggs are magic food for sure. Anyway, all right, so back to investment advice. Sunshine Susie got me off my how come you can't? Sunshine Susie says you can't get insurance now. Life insurance? That's not good. Actually, that's interesting. Put on the thing there, if you don't mind, about life insurance, because that goes back to my book here as a shameless plug for my book. I have a whole topic on this chapter. I don't even know what chapter it is. Health when I retire early. Do not rely on your employer for life insurance. Do not rely. I'm telling you right now, do not rely on your employer for life insurance. Okay, health in 20 months. I'm not sure. I am okay. I'm not sure what that is. But if you're relying on your employer for life insurance and you leave jobs, I just look. You can download this book for free. I'm telling you, that happened to me almost, as I couldn't get insurance, and I am union. It's bad. You don't rely on your employer for life insurance. Get a life insurance policy while you're young and healthy. Term policy. Get a 30-year term. Pay the $40 a month for a $500,000 term. Pay the $20 a month for a $250,000 term at your 30 years old, 35. Just get it. That way you don't need to rely on your employer for your life insurance. I'm just telling you right now, it happened to me. I left my job, and when you leave your job, you have this portability function of your employer life insurance. But again, it runs you as if you're standard. That means as if you smoke cigarettes, which is your premiums are through the roof. I couldn't afford it, man. And so I had no life insurance for like 2 months. I remember I was driving back and forth to Tennessee. I had taken a temporary job up in Kingsport, Tennessee. And it was on Easter Sunday, last year, I guess. Yeah, Easter Sunday last year, a huge trench downpour going through. My car, I hit something. I had a flat tire. I'm sitting on the side of the road. These semis are flying by. And I was like, man, my tire's flat. And I keep one of those air portable chargers in there where I can pump it up enough just to get off the road. And thankfully, I was able to do that. And there was no place around. It was in Clayton, Georgia, if I recall right. Clayton, Georgia. Thankfully, there's a Walmart that was going to close at 5 p.m. and I rolled in there about 4 and they were able to switch my tire out. That scared me to death. I'll never forget that. I said, if I got hit by that, I was sitting there on the side of the road, rain pouring down, got my little portable charger trying to fill up my tire, semis flying by me. I was getting splashed, the whole thing. That scared me to death. I remember thinking, if I die here, my wife is going to be in a world of hurt, and that is bad. And so I'll never forget that. So that's when I actually went back and got my own insurance, because by then my health was good and I could get underwritten at more preferable rates. But I'm telling you, it's scary. So anyway, don't rely on your employer for life insurance. Scary. Don't pay investment fees. Moral of the story: it's insane to pay a guy or a lady a 1% investment fees. I'm sorry. There's just you've got to convince me why you should do it. If it's for behavioral coaching that you will get out of the investments at the most inappropriate time, then just pay for behavioral coaching. If it's for beating the market, that simply can't happen. It's just not. I mean, is there Warren Buffett? Yes. Are there a guy like someone's talking on my YouTube channel about the Vanguard Prime Cap Fund? Yes, there are some funds that do that. Will you be able to identify those funds in advance? No. Will you be able to in fact, Vanguard Prime Cap, you can't even get in there because they have so much money trying to flow in that they have to shut it to new investors. So if you want to pay for somebody to keep you from making a mistake, just pay for that advice, but don't pay the 1% a year fee. It drives me crazy. And especially when all these guys, I'm a fiduciary, I'm a CFP. So Susie says, Union Insurance for Health had a bunch of options for health insurance until you could collect Medicare. We want to retire at 55, but the prices were listed by weight tables. And I'm not, no, that's the same thing on life insurance. The prices are banded based on your weight. That's the exact same thing. If it's through your employer, it could be problematic. All right, well, that's it. I'll stay tuned. I'm going to do a video where I actually show you the tables I do to show you how bad the investment management fees can really, really be. And it's just painful. Lastly, you can't write the investment management fees off anymore. So if you had investment management fees before, you could write a portion of them off. My presumption, I bet a lot of you aren't. If you're paying a guy, I bet that's the case. I bet a lot of you have big 1099s. So if you look at line 7, line 8, and line 13 on your 1040, if you're paying an investment advisor, you're going to get tons of 1099s. I can almost guarantee you there's going to be pretty big numbers on there. Gary Taubes. Yeah, Gary Taubes, Why We Get Fat, the best book I've ever read, other than the good book, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so just if you get, so look at your line 7, line 8, and line 13 for your taxes, and you'll see big distributions there most likely. And now if it's all of an IRA, it won't be any distributions, but I'm just telling you, it's not worth the fees that you pay. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Go eat my jerky.